Hey, all you cool cats and kittens, welcome back to the Battlefield Banter Podcast. We're your host, Cody Black, and I'm here with Javani Sutton. We got a great episode here for you today. I just want to tell everybody thanks for tuning in the last few episodes. We didn't have one last week. We had some business to take care of. I think we're almost up to 1,000 subscribers there. Big John, which is great. So I really appreciate everybody's support in that aspect and tuning in.
Yeah, it really seemed your video there. It's got a lot of views, a lot of traction happening with your video from about a week ago.
Yeah, the last two's really picked up, and it's exciting that people are just tuning in to hear what we got to say. And I tell you what, I really enjoy when we go to work and hear people talking about our stories and laughing about them. So I think Big Alan Cook, he's constantly bugging me to bust out some more stories about Big John Sutton, but I keep him close hold.
Well, to that same point, just some of the folks come up and talking about they personally have no experience in the military, but they're paying attention, and they've got family members that served, whether it was fathers or uncles or brothers, and are relaying those same stories on how they can kind of connect to it or are interested in the topic. So it's really kind of neat.
Yeah, it really is. So, but today's episode, I think it's going to be a pretty good one for us. We're going to hit on a couple things. Mainly talk about some election stuff, which is coming right around the corner. That's Tuesday. I mean, I went and early voted, and there's some stuff on there I seen. I don't know if you went and early voted yet, but when I went down there, driving down there, it was pretty awesome. There was a big trash truck, had a little Trump guy dressed up in a vest in the window down there. The streets were crazy. So, but I come from, I'm in a small town, so it's pretty Republican heavy down here.
Yeah, I'm a little bit closer to St. Louis, about 40 minutes west of St. Louis, and we had tried going and doing early voting yesterday, my wife and I, but there is one location for the entire county, and St. Charles County, Missouri is massive. There was no way. We got there probably about 45 minutes before the station opened up, polling station opened up, and parking lots were packed. It was almost a 15-minute waiting line to even get on the street to find out there was no parking. So I'll be going Tuesday morning bright and early to cast my votes.
Good luck, buddy.
Yeah.
Good luck. Hey, I tell you, man, one of the things that was on the ballot, here in Missouri, that I seen was it was to raise the minimum wage from I think it's like $12.56 to $15 and $1.25 over the next 3 years. I'm gonna tell you, man, I had to vote no on that thing. With the way the economy is, I don't think people realize. I understand that people need more money, but I think with us continuing to raise the minimum wage like that, it's doing nothing for us, but continuing to raise prices, which offsets the pay raise.
Yep, I got no issues with fair wages, but I don't think just simply increasing the minimum wage is going to combat the problems that are kind of impacting the economy right now. But yeah, to your point, I really think we need to focus on bringing costs down. And a lot of that is tied to illegal immigration.
Illegal immigration, yeah. I'll tell you, man, I did going back to the cost, the minimum wage raise. Man, I was down in Buc-ee's down at Springfield the other day. They had a sign up of all the positions that are available for hire there. Their janitor, their bathroom janitor, we're starting off at $22 an hour. And people wonder why you walk out of a place like that spending $80 for a few items. Well, you're paying a janitor $20 to clean the poopers. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, we got to remove the strain, the added economy.
Yeah. And I do think you hit on a good point. Immigration is a big thing. I mean, I don't know if I've actually seen it firsthand at a workplace. I don't think I've seen it, definitely not at our place or anything like that. But I have where these states are closer to the border, I'm sure it's making a drastic impact on those dudes' economies.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it was interesting. I watched a clip of J.D. Vance's interview with Joe Rogan. I don't know if you've got a chance to watch any of the Joe
Parts
Rogan
of it,
interviews.
parts of it, yeah, parts of it.
I tell you what, J.D. Vance, he brought up an interesting point because it keeps coming up in the news and the debates that we've seen is the Democrats keep pushing the idea that, that they had proposed a border security bill and that, Donald Trump had maneuvered to make sure that Republicans made sure that didn't pass the House. But he kind of went into what was really in that bill. And it wasn't so much focused on the security of the border. It was basically about giving mass, asylum protection to everybody who had already entered in the country. And that's not the way to go. There was really only some bone scraps as far as providing extra funding to the Border Patrol and getting the assets and capabilities that they need to be able to lock down that border or control it. So I thought it was really, really interesting because he said that something that impacted his views on illegal immigration and how this problem has been created and how it needs to be solved was he had been at a fundraiser of some sorts back when he was a congressman or while he was running for Congress. And there was a lot of powerful CEOs in this meeting, and he was sitting next to a high-level CEO, and they were talking about different things. Trump was running for election in 2016. I think this was back in 2015. And he was sitting next to the CEO, and he was like, I do not want Trump elected. And his main reason behind it was that he wanted to shut down the border. He did not want that border shut down because it would prevent him from having the pool of illegal immigrants that he was able to pay under the table. That he was going to be forced to pay U.S. citizens authorized to work in the U.S., that it was not financially beneficial to him and that he wanted to pay illegal immigrants under the table. So that's just crazy that's how, the business leaders in our world kind of view things. Just nuts.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing, man. I think, we're the American people as a whole. I'm not saying Democrats, Republicans, Independent. As a whole, we are getting drowned in muddy water, right? We're getting all these news companies and production companies they're throwing out all this stuff with their own agendas. But I can tell you, if one, we continue to let the immigration problem happen, one, it's going to take jobs away from the American people already has. And what the American people don't realize is you got another factor working against you, and that's the automation that's going on, the AI. I can tell you there's a company out there that delivers package. I'm not going to say which one, but they've already got parts of their factories or supply channels that is ran completely by robots. And I mean, the American people, that's just, you have the automation going on, you got the immigration going on, and when you start raising the minimum wage, that's three factors you got working against you as an American citizen. And if we don't get some of the stuff under control, there's going to be a lot of people without jobs.
I don't disagree.
I mean, go ahead.
No, you brought up that rally you kind of saw there in your neck of the woods down there by Fort Leonard Wood. But this weekend I was out and I went to was doing some shopping and some browsing and came across a similar thing out here by St. Louis. It was just a bunch of vehicles, American flags, Trump supporters. There was a trash truck with a big Trump billboard on the back end of it. That whole scenario this past week with him showing up at that rally with the trash truck and getting on stage with his vest and just being candid and honest, like that was a really interesting, fun way to see Trump interact with people, just being honest and talking.
Bro, and here's the thing, dude, like, you got the Trump supporters are going to be Trump supporters, and the people that hate Trump are going to continue to hate Trump. And, they complain about the stuff he says and has said in the past or whatever. But I can guarantee those same people in their lifetime have said something similar or said something that they regret saying, but they continue to hold it against this guy, and they're not looking at the bigger picture, the policies. And I'm not saying one way's right or another. I know my beliefs, right? I know the big thing for me is the economy, and over the past 4 years, the economy has went straight down the tank. I mean, it's floating back there in a lagoon somewhere. But it just irritates the piss out of me to know that that these same people are human and they've said the same stuff in the past. They probably go to work and say worse stuff, or they say worse stuff with their friends on the weekend, but they're going to hold it against someone like a public figure like that. And I guarantee if they dig into other people's past, you're probably going to see a lot more. And if they dug into old Camellia Harris or whatever her name is past, there's probably a lot of blowjobs and hand jobs going on there to get where she was at. I promise you that.
Well, I'll tell you what, as much as, there's a huge chunk of the population that dislikes Trump, and there's been all sorts of efforts. And I want to be clear here. I am definitely not a Trump ass kisser. I'm not the hugest fan.
Matter of fact, he actually talked about possibly voting for Camellia Harris at one time. That's a fact.
I hadn't heard that yet. But
no,
all this,
I'm talking about you.
That I thought about voting for Kamala Harris?
Yeah.
No, I'd never in my life did I ever say that. I was confused. No, never. But I tell you what.
Let me tell you this before you get started, right? There's a guy, I'm going to just throw out his initials, big AC. AC's his initials. Big Trump supporter. But he's got a Camellia Harris sign in his front yard. Because his wife, he's on lockdown. So I don't even know if his wife knows he's a Trump supporter.
Household 6 runs the show.
Yeah, Household 6 runs his shop.
But with everything between the 3 elections that Trump has gone through now and all the crazy conspiracy stories and allegations and things like that, there haven't been any crazy skeletons that have come out of the closet. It's been just some like nonsense that they've been able to kind of latch onto and kind of dive into. So with all the crazy shit he says in public, in speeches and rallies and interviews and debates, like you are getting the real Donald Trump. Like it's not a fake facade. It's nothing. You're getting his views. You're getting everything that's Donald Trump. And you're not getting that with other politicians. I may not agree with everything that he says, but I feel like I know exactly where he stands, and I'm comfortable overall with those directions.
Well, I've seen and here's the thing. I seen a commercial yesterday of Harris, and the big thing was like, I'm ready to get to work for you. Well, where have you been for the past 4 years? That's my thing. Like, where have you been? Because I know you haven't had a hand in any of the stuff that's gone on, or you might have just been in the meeting. I mean, because if that was the case, you were ready to work for the American people, we would not be where we're at today. I'll tell you what's even scarier than the economy now is I think we're on the verge of possibly another world war. You got North Korea now sending troops to Russia. And I look at who do I want leading this nation during that time. Do I want someone who's got the balls enough to go drop a Moab and say, hey, I done told you once, twice, hey, here it is? Or do I want someone who wants to continue to play this, politically, I'm going to sanction you, blah, blah, blah. You see how that works. Like the support we've given Israel's been ridiculous to me. We should have helped those dudes eliminate what that threat over there. But I don't know, man. It's just scary to me, and I want someone in that position who's not afraid to do what they got to do to protect us.
Yeah, but here's the deal. To expand on what you just said there, I want somebody who is willing to, if the situation requires it. But I want somebody who's probably never going to have to, because they know that they're capable of doing it. The world knows he is capable of doing it. And that's why he's the only president, I think, in our history, I don't know if it's our history or our generation's history, the only president not to get involved
in a conflict,
in a new war, in a conflict during his presidency. So, he's done it once before, 4 years, when tensions were high, Middle East, North Korea, all that stuff going on, never happened. Russia into Ukraine during Obama, nothing during Trump, back in Ukraine further. Biden, there's something different with Trump.
Yeah, because they know they don't care. He'll be sitting at the White House eating his Big Mac and drinking his Coke, and he'll go and drop it. Like, hey, I don't care. I done told you jokers once or twice. now you're gonna pay. That's like him dropping that bomb on that Iranian dude when he was in office over there in Iraq. Everybody was like, "Oh, why'd you do that?" Hey, he eliminated the threat. And if we'd had more of that, we probably wouldn't be in the situations what we're seeing right now across the world.
So, without getting into your own personal predictions of how you think this thing may play out, what are you seeing across the landscape as far as how things are kind of going? What do you think's resonating with most voters?
Man, I really think. Well, it's hard for me to say because you listen to any news station, they're different, right? So you got to try to figure out what is true. I think one of the big key things that's going to maybe could tilt this election one way or another is that the abortion aspect of it. I mean that's not just big at the state level, but that Kamala's kind of running on that, the women's rights when it comes to abortion. Trump's got his views on it. And I think, that could definitely sway the women vote even more than it already is. So, I mean, I don't know.
I don't disagree, but the one part about that whole abortion debate that I truly just can't wrap my head around is the case that supporters of allowing abortion, one of the constant comments I always see and rhetoric I hear is we shouldn't allow our politicians to dictate what we can and can't do with our bodies. With Roe v. Wade and wanting things to go through at the federal level, you are asking politicians to decide what is going to take place. You keep the votes at the individual state level, and it is the people who decide, not the politicians. The people decide. And you know what? One of the things that makes this country so great is there's different pockets of different people, different ideas. Collectively we probably align on as a whole, but just different things that are priorities to different people. You get a little diversity across the U.S. There's pockets for everybody, regardless of what your views are. There's probably going to be a state that not only if it has the laws that you kind of agree with, then it's probably attracting people that have the same types of values that you have as well. So go to a state, vote in personnel in the state that you want that share your views, but I would not be wanting this to go back to the federal level.
I agree. But, I also look at it this way, and this is something I've talked to my wife about, and, she's a woman, of course, obviously, a wife, but I asked her yesterday because I went and voted, and like I said, they have that Amendment 3 here for abortion, which I voted against because there was a lot of stuff in there I did not agree with. But I asked her, I said, "Who's protecting the males?" And she's like, "What do you mean, who's protecting the males?" I said, "Who is protecting the males?" I said, "What if the male wants to keep the baby? What do we have protecting us?" Because I know there's probably plenty of males out there that would rather keep the baby than the girl. Just hey, I don't know. This girl is crazy, but I want to keep my baby. Like, who is protecting the male aspect when it comes to that? Does the woman automatically have the right to terminate, my child?
I don't know. I mean, it's a touchy subject, and I'm not going to go into 100% my personal views on it, but it is kind of contradicting if, let's say an unmarried couple people, they, female gets pregnant, and if she decides to keep the child, and the male has no choice in whether or not she keeps it, doesn't keep it, and she decides to keep it, and now he's on the hook for child support.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't get an opinion in it.
Yeah.
It just,
Yeah,
I don't think you could have it both ways.
No, and that's the thing. My wife's like, "Well, you get to choose who you put, where you put your penis." I said, "Yeah, well, you get to choose what penis gets to go in you too. You can't say, what that and then this is the opposite, in my opinion." And I get what she was trying to say, and But at the same time, I'm like, man, if the mother of my kids at one point would have said I wanted to abort one of my children, what could I have done? Had to pay an attorney, try to do an injunction, whatever the case may be. I have no rights to just be like, no, don't do that.
And just to be clear, at least when I'm talking, I am excluding anything that involves rape, sexual abuse, incest, anything like that.
Yeah,
That's
100%.
completely separate. My conversation, my point of view is based off of two consenting adults.
Yeah, 100%. I can completely agree with that. But no, I think we live in some weird times. I think the votes, which always does, it's gonna come down to a few states. It's gonna come down to the inner cities. You look at the map, and I think every day, it's something. It changes colors. Like, oh, well, based off this poll today, Harris was in the lead by a point. Well, now Trump's in the lead by a point. Oh, there's a margin of error, 3%. Here's, well, what is it?
Well, here's the interesting thing, and I always look back at it just to kind of balance things out, as those polls are constantly changing back and forth, and the ones doing them are, they could be leaning left, they could be leaning right, they could be paid for by personnel that are people that have requesting specific outcomes. But the one type poll or data that you can look at and be like, whoa, those are people, individuals, without being questioned or anything. They're just going and doing it on their own and putting their money behind it, is the betting line. And I think a total of like 30, I think the last time I saw, I think a total of like $33 million has been bet on this presidential election. And Trump is dominating at 56, 57% favored to win. That is the people putting their money where their vote is.
But that's also based on a fair election, right? I think there's a lot of factors that go in. You look at what's happening out in Pennsylvania right now. Or was it Oregon or Washington up there? They had all the absentee ballots burnt in the box. Like, there's a lot of, I wouldn't say, I don't think our necessarily election system is rigged, but I do believe that at some point there's some stuff that's getting through that should not be happening. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, and I want to take a look here because, I just thought about this as we're talking about the betting thing. I was like, well, you know what? Not every state has legalized betting, online betting and things like that. So maybe it's being skewed by the states that are offering it. So I'm looking up to see what states have it or authorize it. It's like split.
Yeah.
You've got Colorado, Illinois, New Jersey, New York, Vermont, Virginia, Maryland, all District of Columbia, Connecticut, all very much left-leaning, typically states. And then a bunch of the ones that are in the Rust Belt here have legalized gambling. So it's a lot of non-red states that have online gambling, and that's where the money lies.
Well, I'm telling you, and you've heard me say this, over the past few weeks. Definitely, I'm nervous. I'm nervous no matter which direction this goes. I'm more nervous if it goes, one particular direction. I just don't think the economy can sustain, and you look at history and over time, like if we end up going back to, what was it, the 60s, 70s, 60s, I think is when people are lined up at the gas stations, like trying to get gas. I could see us headed that direction in the near future. And then my own personal opinion is, I think, the politics of this country has put such a divide between us as human beings. I honestly believe we're on the verge of a civil war here soon. I'm not saying the next year, 6 months. The next 10 to 15 years are going to be, to me, crucial. There's going to be lines drawn in the sand, and you're going to have to choose your side.
I think there's rougher waters ahead before things get better.
Yeah, I mean, that's just my own personal opinion, and kind of a conspiracy theorist, I guess, in a ways, but it's pretty nerve-wracking to me. But I don't know. We'll see come Tuesday.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're here, we're filming this on Sunday here, Sunday afternoon. Elections in 2 days. I think we're going to release this video Tuesday evening or Tuesday morning. Sometime Tuesday, this video will get released. So it'll get released the day of the election. But, back in 2016, or I guess 2015, during the first Trump election, presidential election, you and I sat there watching the election results come in together there at your house and living room, just like amazed, amped up, couldn't believe what we were witnessing take place.
Yeah.
I know you felt differently in 2020 or 2019 when the election took place, but even though I voted for Trump, I did not feel strongly that he was going to win that election. I thought there was a pretty good chance that Biden was. I'm seeing things differently. I think Trump has got a really good shot. I think we're going to talk about kind of where we think things are going to end at the end of the day later, but I'm seeing a shift.
Yeah, and I'm the opposite of what you are, but I could, when 2020 went down, I just, at the time, like the economy was doing all right, gas prices were down. At that time, I was driving a big 3,500 dually, Dodge Ram diesel. I paid $1, like 82 for diesel. I'm like, how could we not? I mean, things are great. The stock market, the 401ks were up, and then in such a short amount of period, you went from interest rates on cars being 2%, 3% to 12. You can't even afford to buy a home because of the way the situation is. I just don't see how we as a body, a human body here in America, be like, hey, this is way better than what it was. I just don't see that. But like I said, to me, it's driven by the inner cities and whatever those cities votes is the way it's going to go.
Yep, I don't disagree.
Because think about when we was living in Hawaii, like they called the election before you could even get to the voting polls because they won Dade County, they won Wisconsin, they won Pennsylvania, or whatever. Now you're out there in Hawaii trying to vote, and the election's already been called.
So we've been talking about kind of the things that we're seeing and the things that we saw in past elections and kind of where our views are at. You got any predictions or thoughts of where this thing kind of lands at the end of the day on either late Tuesday night, maybe Wednesday morning? Who knows? It could be a couple of days after, but where do you think the dust settles?
My gut feeling tells me Harris is going to win. That's my gut feeling. That's my gut feeling. A couple months ago, I say a couple months. Yeah, well, June, July, I was up in Wisconsin, and a lot of Harris supporters up there. I was up there for a reunion with my wife. A lot of Harris supporters up that way. I just don't know, like Wisconsin, Michigan, how that's gonna. Ohio, you would think. I look at Pennsylvania, and that's, and it's all because of Pittsburgh. But I just look at those. I'm like, if two of those states go blue, we might be in trouble. Trump might be in trouble. That's the scary part. And I think I looked at, it was either Wisconsin or Ohio, and they were literally 50-50. So, and usually, if Wisconsin goes one way or Ohio, I think there's 4 states that usually vote the same. And it's been like that for years. They call it the blue wall. Trump was the only one to break it in a hot minute back in 2016. But I think if one of those states go blue, they're all blue. I think that's going to be the telltale sign.
Tell you what, I tell you where I'm thinking things are going to land here. I don't think it's going to be a late night. I don't think it's going to be a late. I think Trump was going to win. I think out of that Rust Belt, all those states are likely to go to Trump, minus Michigan. I think in a lot of states that people are saying are toss-up states, battleground states, that they're saying it's too close, like it's less than a 1% margin between the candidates, this and that. I think when everything plays out Tuesday night, I think Trump is going to win the majority of those toss-up states by 5 percentage points in those individual states.
Man,
And
I hope you're right.
I think the end result, I think he's going to come in somewhere around 312 electoral votes. I think for the first time, he is going to win the popular votes in the huge shift.
Ooh, it's a big prediction. Big prediction.
Overall, he's going to win by 2 or 3%, I think, at the end of the day across the board.
Well, and here's the thing too. It doesn't just depend on it does. The presidential election is big, huge, huge. But if we don't have the right Senate and House in there either, you have a Democratic House and Senate and then a Republican president and vice versa, you're going to have gridlock. And we're going to get nowhere for the next 4 years, 2 to 4 years. So it's not just a presidential election. I think, we're just paying close attention across the board is going to be interesting.
I agree, and I think there's a good chance that Republicans maintain the House, and I'm pretty certain that if Trump wins, I think they retake the Senate, which makes things a little bit easier for him in his presidency. But both Democrats and Republicans have had issues, even when they've owned both branches. So I don't want it to be easy. Like I don't want Trump or Republicans necessarily to just run roughshod with their policies necessarily. So I think it's good to have a little bit back and forth, but
No, I agree.
I think they'll get the House, Senate, the president. I think it's all going Republican.
I mean, I agree. I think you need that balance there, but I also look at it like we need to get back on track. And if we have that gridlock, we're going to go nowhere. Like no matter what. And, I've seen in the news the last, I don't know, probably a couple weeks where they slashed interest rates. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but I think they've cut the interest rates a couple times now. And I'm like, well, why did you wait till now? Like, it's just, I think it's just some things are odd, but I really think we have got to get the economy back to where it's at. I just don't know how people are surviving making $15, $16, $17 in this economy. And that's not how it should be.
No, I agree. And I saw the same thing. And I guess I already told you when we were talking about the rallies, it just feels different right now. Really feels different. And if Trump really can secure the popular vote, and you combine that with another interesting comment I heard actually this morning. It was one of the main liberal media CEOs, I believe, and he said, like, look, if more than 50% of people vote for Trump, when the news media has been the legacy media has been pushing against Trump, we're non-existent.
Yeah,
we no longer matter. And so with that thought process, and if Trump can win the popular vote in America, and the news is forced to recognize that it's not the minority, it is a vast majority of folks that want things to change, and not necessarily into the same thing, but what we're currently doing is not working.
well, it's like, I think we're starting to see a shift a little bit in the way people think because, you've seen a lot of these celebrities at the Harris rally and stuff. You're starting to hear a lot more people just say, who gives a crap what these people are saying? Nobody gives a crap. I don't give a crap what, whatever her name is, Codye G has to say, or, nobody cares.
I'll tell you what,
Who are you?
Did you see the celebrity endorsement Usher gave of Kamala?
No.
Dude. So I think it was just like weeks or a month or so prior to that, he basically came out, and which a lot of, it's crazy. Most newspapers and news agencies are for the first time deciding not to endorse a candidate. And that should tell you something as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talking about endorsing them, I just lost my train of thought again.
It's talking about
What
Usher.
was I saying?
Usher.
Yeah. So with Usher, just a month prior, he said that he would not endorse Kamala Harris or any political figure. And then all the stuff came out about P. Diddy and his involvement with P. Diddy and all the stuff going on with the freak out parties or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
And then shortly thereafter at a rally, there you see usher, head down, reading the speech, and it looked like a hostage video. Like he was speaking
But
to the
yeah,
camera, begging to be freed and released, and please work with whoever is holding me captive and get me released. Like it was a little telling to me.
yeah, that's a whole different subject. That whole ditty. Actually, I'm kind of interested to see who all comes out because I think there's going to be some politicians involved in that stuff too. So, but I don't, depending on who's on that list, it's going to be tight hold just like Epstein. So, nothing happened with that crap either. That's a whole different subject. I ain't even going to touch.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We'll dive into it.
Actually, I have been surprised. I mean, I have not heard really too much about the Clintons and the news cycle. I think I've seen, one or two things about Bill, but like, they're really, to me, I haven't seen much of the Clintons in this news cycle at all.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't notice it, but I guess now that you say something, they really have been kind of silent here the last week or so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if I've seen Hillary speak.
Even though
Really,
I haven't heard much of Obama either in the last week.
no, I mean, I haven't either. I know at one time, like he was, he came out and was trying to rally the black male vote. I don't think that went over as well as they thought it would. It almost came out like, he was chastising.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's it is weird. I don't even think the Obamas wanted to endorse her, but I think they were like, if they didn't, they knew they didn't. The Democrats didn't stand a chance. It's been, no Joe. He's being Joe. That's for sure. He's trying to throw a wrench into things here at the end. That's for dang sure.
It appears that he absolutely hates Kamala Harris. It is so bitter about the way that he was the coup to remove him from the Democratic presidential ticket was pulled off on him. He has definitely not been helping that campaign out from the start.
No, you brought up a good point the other day. Like, if she doesn't win, it's gonna be like, look, you missed out on your savior, old Freaky Joe. So now, here's what you got to do. I mean, he's gonna ride. Him and Jill will ride that train till the end.
Jill will be the interesting one. I think she'll be the one to push it a little bit further than Joe does. She's a little more outspoken, I think.
Yeah. It'll be. I'm telling you, man. It's gonna be. It's a scary time, but an exciting time to see what plays out too.
Yep. So, we've been talking about the election here, I don't know, about the last 30, 40 minutes here. We're only 2 days away. So we're not too far away from finding out how this thing all plays out. We have been having some conversations about, more towards what this channel is geared towards, and that's our veteran community. And just kind of throwing out some ideas about how to make this a little bit more interactive as a community. We've been kind of throwing out some ideas, and one that we've kind of, not necessarily I would say settled on, but kind of leaning towards right now is, taking a look at maybe combining some off-roading, camping type, adventure type stuff with different veterans, just to reconnect a new group in a community together. A lot of parallels, I think, with the off-roading and the planning of that and camping that I think veterans would be able to assimilate to their time in the military and some of their experiences and, the adrenaline that you get quite often in the military. So kind of interesting. I don't know if you got anything you want to talk about on the topic. I mean, I know we're still kind of digging into it, but
yeah, this is this is kind of the initial phase for us going into this thing, but deep down it's something I'm proud to be a veteran. I'm proud of all that I've been able to accomplish. But I couldn't have done it without other veterans, and I'm proud of the opportunity the military gave me. So I just kind of want to continue to give back. I think you're along that same boat. And John, let me tell you something. John is finally starting to open up about him being a veteran. He had kept that on tight hold for a long time because he hates attention. But, I think for both of us, it's important that I think he sees it. I see it, especially now we're kind of hitting, we've both probably gone through a midlife crisis over the past year or so. So, I think we're starting to see how we need that community. And I know, and I'm not saying this because, it's John Sutton, but if I didn't have John Sutton, who was he's a great friend, but what made John great for me is he's been a veteran. There's been someone I could reach out to and continue to talk to and reminisce on, and he sees stuff the same way I see it, and able to talk through that. And I don't think if I had that, I'd be pretty lost. So I know there's other people out there that are probably in that same boat.
Yeah, from the standpoint that we started looking into this off-roading thing and kind of diving into some different studies and things that were going on, and there's been some studies done, and there's a strong linkage between like some extreme sports and the value it can bring to service members who have struggled with transition, whether it's just been a normal separation, retirement from the military, just a way for them to kind of cope. So mental health is a big, we talked about it from the beginning. At the end of the podcast, we have a linkage for the suicide hotline. I'll focus on mental health, and we just talk about the changes in personality, being able to open up. You and I have known each other for 15 years and 15 plus years, and we've stayed in close contact and communication throughout that time. I'd say the last couple of years, it's really been more focused on life outside of the military and what we're doing now with our employment and things like that. But since starting this podcast, it's forced us to go back into those conversations and have those conversations. Which if you're saying that you've noticed I'm opening up and talking more, or maybe that's just proof in the pudding that bringing the community together and having these conversations and reconnecting, there's value added to the mental health. Not just for veterans, but that's the audience too.
Well, I can tell you this. You can go back and I'm just telling the people this. You go back and watch episode 1 compared to episode now, and you're seeing a totally different John Sutton. You're starting to open up, or I've even talked you into possibly getting a disabled vet tag for your car.
Yeah.
Like we're getting him to come around to it. I understand he doesn't like the attention, but I tell you, you don't understand. People, I should say, people on the civilian side don't understand how big or how much of an impact another veteran makes on another person. So, just to be able to reach out to somebody, kind of like we do. If I got something, I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna run something by you. You tell me if this is crazy. And a lot of it relates back to probably military experience, and you do the same thing. Like, hey man, hear me out. Listen to my idea. I'm like, oh crap, here we go. Like, what's this gonna be? But we have that between each other, and hopefully we can have that throughout the whole community. Build a community, I should say.
Yeah. So if you got any ideas, recommendations that can help us go down this direction with some off-roading adventure fun to kind of include things, our veterans into it, please feel free to share that information with us. We're gathering all the info that we can.
We're looking at, just to build on what John's talking about, we're looking at doing like side-by-side type off-trail riding, Jeeps. I know Jeeps are big in the military community, so those types of stuff is what we're looking at. We still got a lot to figure out, but that's just us kind of brainstorming and trying to get something off the ground.
Outside of, the community aspect and the camaraderie of bringing a group together to do different, experiences or adventures like this. But one of the things that I'm really excited the most about, and that's why nothing's been 100% kind of decided at this point. There may be different types of adventures with different types of vehicles or things like that. But the side-by-side, even the Jeep or any off-road vehicle, getting access to some of these Bureau of Land Management places, national parks, not just the main roads that go through these parks that you can kind of drive through and see what they want you to see, but taking the off-beaten trails and really getting to see more of virtually untouched. America that there is, and getting to be able to see those views that, some of these folks spent, decades defending, giving them the opportunity to see what it was that they were defending. Like that's huge to me. That's awesome. That's everything everybody should be able to experience. So that's one of the things I'm really excited about, is just letting veterans see, everything out there across America, the different features, mountains, cliffs, just views, it's amazing what America has to offer, and be able to provide that opportunity, allow them to reconnect with not just, fellow veterans in that community, but with nature. Like, I think it's awesome, the outdoors.
The forgotten America. That's exactly what it is. So, I'm excited too. So, hey guys, I just want to wrap this thing up. I want to tell everybody once again, thanks for tuning in. Hey, I gotta give one last shout out here. Today is my daughter Caitlin's 18th birthday, so I just want to tell her happy birthday. Welcome to adulthood.
Happy birthday.
Daddy is cutting the umbilical cord today, so you're on your own financially and all that. So, yeah, I want to see your insurance money.
Bill.
Yeah, pay the phone bill. I want to see that insurance money on the first. Good times though. But seriously, that's happy birthday.
Today is her birthday.
Today it is. Tomorrow's my mom, so I want to tell my mom happy. I don't know. You're old as dirt. You're one exit closer to the upper room.
That's rude. That's rude.
Yeah, well, she knows it. She knows what's coming. I don't know her age. She's 67, 8.
So, quick question, just to go back to your daughter. You did early voting yesterday. Your daughter's going to get the opportunity to vote in this election. Is she planning on going and voting?
She does not get the opportunity. You had to be registered before a certain time. I think October or something. I thought the same thing until yesterday, and they told me. So I was hoping that would have been another vote to go the way I wanted it to. So you know how
that's unfortunate, but
you always vote the way your daddy won't.
All right. Again, if you want to contribute to the show, you want to join, share a story, click the email address is in the description below. It's battlefieldbanterpodcast@gmail.com. Please feel free to share us and send us an email and share your story. Or if you'd like to join the show, just send us an email, let us know. But if you're liking the videos and you want to see this thing grow, please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.
Peace.